There's a certain kind of person who will be in every school you will ever go to. There is this type of person in your current schools, in my current schools, potentially in your friends' schools, maybe even in your future schools, your universities and your colleges. But this type of person may feel that life treats them a bit unfairly because people seem to dislike them immediately, almost at first glance, without any prior interactions. And the fact is, this type of person may know the steps that they need to take to change their lifestyle to actually get more positive social interactions in their life. But they may also be completely unaware of the things that are meaning that people dislike them immediately. And while you and I may possess some of these stereotypical traits in the past, this stereotypical character kind of outdoes us in a multiple amount of ways. And you probably know the kind of traits that this character sort of entails. The type of people that when they go home from school, they don't really talk to their family that much. They just sit in their room, eat too many snacks, they don't go down for dinner, they play video games, they may not partake in like basic hygienic activities like brushing their teeth and stuff like that. And yeah, the fact is, while you may have done some of these bad habits in the past, you probably didn't do all of them and may have kept up your like health to a basic sort of hygienic standard. And I'm just going to go through some of these sort of things in the video that may be the reasons that people don't like talk to you all that often, and you may be getting negative social interactions. So with that, I recommend subscribing and sticking around to the end to implement these tips and tricks into your life. Now, the first one is the fact that you might just smell. And while the fact is you may wear deodorants and cologne and shower almost every single day without fail, which is a good habit, it's good hygiene, the fact is your environment dictates how you smell more than you may think. I mean, while you may wear deodorants and cologne every single day, the fact is that doesn't really destroy the source or destroy the kind of reasons that you may like your raw, almost auto and default smell, because that only kind of covers it up. The fact is, when you are like in an environment like your house all the time, you can develop this thing called being nose blind, where your nose won't detect smells that you are around almost all the time. And this could, for instance, be just the general smell of like your house. And that may be like a good smell, it may be a good smell, and you may have like a nice automatic kind of smell. But the fact is, your house may not smell so good. It may like smell of like things like the meals that you ate, like for dinner or for lunch and stuff like that. And this can like have a negative impact on how you kind of rawly smell, how your clothes may smell if they've not been in the wash for a while and stuff like that. And one thing I can tell you to use, and I use to combat this, is just something like room spray. Literally spraying things like, you've probably seen the things in your bathrooms where you like spray it in the bathroom so that when you like go to the toilet, it doesn't stink the bathroom or the house out all that much. And you can use those similar kind of things in your rooms, in the rest of your house, just to like make sure that it actually smells nice, and so your auto smell is up to like a good standard. And if you don't have these, you can just use like body sprays, which aren't exactly the same things as deodorants, and they kind of latch onto objects more easily because they have to just go over your whole body and stuff like that. So if you use those kind of things, if you don't have room sprays, that can be something that you might want to try out and just see if it works and stuff. And the second thing might be the fact that your breath smells. And many people use things like chewing gum to combat this. Many people use chewing gum and they chew chewing gum so their breath smells like minty when they're talking to people and stuff like that. But the fact is, chewing gum has a plethora of impacts on your health and on the environment you may not even believe, because chewing gum contains things called microplastics, and when you chew chewing gum, this stuff leaches into your saliva and you end up swallowing the saliva. While you may not swallow the chewing gum, which I also don't recommend, you still end up swallowing some of these microplastics, and these aren't good for your body because your body can't recognize them. These are synthetic chemicals that your body hasn't seen because we are still almost, we are like evolutionary beings, and things like plastics are so unknown to us in the modern world. If you kind of look at the timeline of human existence, plastics have only existed for maybe the last like 50 or so years. I may be wrong on that. You can tell me how long plastics have existed and stuff in the comments, but they've not been around for long, and the fact is this kind of stuff does impact your health. And so to combat this, just brushing your teeth twice or even 3 times a day, as well as your tongue, which is often where a lot of the bad breath smell like comes from in many people. Brushing your tongue as well as your teeth will be a good useful thing to you, so that your breath just smells less, and maybe when you're talking to people you get more positive social interactions and stuff like that. And the third thing that may mean that people just don't really talk to you and you don't get many positive social interactions, is you may just not be attractive. And while I am not like a big supporter of things like the black pill, which tell you to kind of give up if you're unattractive on things like life in general, and while it's quite a sad belief, and I personally don't believe in these kind of things, and I don't recommend that you do either, a lot of the things that make people unattractive are actually quite changeable. Things like your hairstyle, and even things like your facial shape. Many black pillars think that the fact is, if your face shape is like unattractive and stuff, it's like a big defining factor in how successful and stuff you may be in life. But the fact is, you can like almost alter your facial shape by doing this thing called mewing, because many people breathe in through their mouth, which means that their tongue has to rest in a position that it is simply not used to, and it's not supposed to. And so your jaw will kind of slip forward and you will sort of lose the jawline that is like you're kind of supposed to have as a normal human being. That is how your jaw is sort of supposed to look. But by mouth breathing, this thing, your facial structure will kind of change in and around your jaw area. And by mewing, which is when you swallow, right? The position your tongue is in when you swallow, which should be at the roof of your mouth, you should keep your tongue in that position on a daily basis while you're sleeping, while you're like just going around doing your daily habitual things. Your tongue should be at the top of your mouth, and that will kind of bring your facial shape back to normal after maybe you've been doing things like mouth breathing for like quite a significant amount of time. And you can also do things like changing your hairstyle up to suit your face shape. Maybe you have a lot of face fat, you can just like lose some weight so that your like facial features become more prominent and therefore maybe more attractive. And you can also like do things to get rid of maybe like acne and stuff like that, things like spots, because many people think acne and stuff is like genetically like passed down from their parents, then it will end up going away maybe when they're like 20 and stuff like that. But acne can be caused due to things like bad hygiene. And while maybe the shower gels and stuff that you use and your skin's quite sensitive, maybe it's worth like not using things like face washes and stuff like that, and just using things like water to like wash your face, because the chemicals in shower gels and stuff may cause an adverse reaction which could cause acne for you. I mean, that may not be the case for everyone, but for some people, if acne is something that you currently have a problem with, that may be something you want to try out. And also, changing your bed sheets and your pillow sheets on a regular basis will also help to like reduce the amount of spots and acne that you get, because the fact is, when you like lay on your pillow and your like duvets and stuff every single night, it does eventually like build up. A lot of dirt will end up eventually building up on your pillows and on your bed. And when you like when you go to bed repeatedly every single night, you may like your skin may have an adverse reaction to the dirts and to the like dirty molecules and stuff like that, which could cause acne. So changing your pillows and your bed sheets and stuff just like on a on a like once a week or once every 2 week basis, that could reduce your acne quite significantly if that's not something you ever previously thought of before. And the fourth thing that you could use, or the fourth thing that could mean that people dislike you immediately, is your kind of body language and your posture. Now, many people in modern society, because we're quite a corporate society, we're on our computers, we're on technology quite a lot, we end up having quite a hunched back posture. And this often comes with mouth breathing, because when you have a hunched back, your body will almost like automatically revert to mouth breathing, because mouth breathing will be more comfortable in a hunched position compared to just normally breathing through your nose. It's quite like a weird thing, but this like it's almost like something that comes in too. So if you have like a hunched back, you're almost more likely to start mouth breathing, and that will end up causing two problems just from like one thing. And having closed body language and body posture will also mean that you're like less approachable of a person. If you have like rounded shoulders and like this is like kind of your position, how you're like walking, how you stand and stuff like that, instead of having like a nice kind of open posture, that's going to make you a lot less approachable of a person like to talk to in real life and stuff like that. So something as simple as breathing exercises, deep breathing exercises, so that instead of like being like this on a daily basis, you just breathe in and then like you breathe out like a normal person through your nose. And while your body may become a little bit more closed while breathing out, it'll be much better than like a really closed, rounded, hunched body posture like that, because that makes you just a lot less approachable of a person and may mean that you don't really get any social interactions at all, because looking like that is like a signal to other people in a sort of evolutionary sense that you want to be like left alone and stuff like that. So having an open body posture will just open you up to having more conversations and stuff with so many different kinds of people. And the fifth thing that may be affecting your social interactions is your physique. And now, while the average amount of people won't really care too much about your physique, if you genuinely struggle with like your facial genetics, I mean, maybe you believe in like the black pin and stuff like that, and you really did get like the harsh end of the stick with like your facial shape and stuff like that, normal people will like base your thing. Normal people who, because the average amount of people are either like not in their dream kind of body. The average person is either fat or just not in their dream body in general. And the fact is, normal people will treat your like physique like normally. It won't have like much of an impact on their opinions of you. But obviously, if you like really did get the hard end of the stick with like your facial structure and stuff like that, your like body composition or whatever, if you do start going to the gym, you do start building a lot of muscle or losing weight and stuff like that, people will start to admire your journey, and it will almost like cancel out the fact that you may have got the hard end of the stick with your genetics and your facial structure, which will mean that you would have worked harder in the gym, and you would have overtaken, like in the kind of race of life or whatever, all the people who had nice facial genetics and didn't bother to go to the gym because they already thought that they were like attractive and already didn't have to put much work in to have success in dating or whatever. But if you do like go to the gym, people will start to admire you. Normal people will admire you a lot more than if like you were just normal. And if you didn't have like the hard end of the stick and you already have like normal facial genetics or whatever, then the fact is, if you start going to the gym, people will still admire you a lot more than what they previously did before, because they understand that it takes a lot of work to do this stuff, and that's probably why they don't do it themselves. And so they'll admire the fact that you did this, and it will lead to like a lot of more positive social interactions, and it can just be something that you talk about in normal conversations with other people. And people who like are on self-improvement that you may meet in your day-to-day life, they may like lose almost respect for you if you don't like have your dream physique and you haven't put work in to like achieve the dream physique that you want to. And while this may seem arrogant or egotistical, some people are like that, and obviously hopefully if you're watching that, maybe you can be more helpful to these people who may struggle to achieve their dream physique and stuff like that. But once people do put the work in to like get their physique, get the body that they really admire and the body that they really want, people will, like people who are on self-improvement, people who do go to the gym, will almost respect you in like a way. People will respect you rather than admire you, because they've gone through the work themselves and they understand how hard of a journey it is, while other people who are normal and may also struggle to achieve their dream physique, people on self-improvement will almost respect you. And respect is like an important thing that will improve your mental health and will increase your self-esteem, especially if it was coming from someone who may have like been like further than you in the sort of race of life or whatever. And that is just 5 simple things that could mean that people actually start to dislike you and could lead to negative social interactions and stuff like that. And the little bonus thing, if people do seem to dislike you immediately, one of the reasons could be that they are not good people in general. And while this is quite a rare scenario, if someone is mean to you and sort of annoys you and stuff like that because you are on self-improvement, that's a good sign, and that's probably a sign for you to kind of keep going if you're sort of getting made fun of and you have negative social interactions because of the fact that you do these good habits and stuff like that. So if people kind of dislike you because of the fact you're on self-improvement, that is just something that can spur you on to achieve greater and better things in the future. So with that, I recommend subscribing, because I like this community of young tribal people who are willing to improve themselves so much more than you already have. So good luck.